Absolutely. So Hope AD is a project that's about a year in, and the goal here is to accelerate pre-symptomatic early detection of Alzheimer's disease, and then to give people tools to do something about that early detection if they're at high risk.
And now, of course, this has been going on for about a year now. Can you talk a little bit about what the study entailed for those who signed up?
Absolutely. So we've had 165 people come through the doors of the clinic here on campus, the Smith Family Clinic, and they've enrolled and had their risk assessed. We've identified 52 individuals at particularly high risk for Alzheimer's disease that have been enrolled in a multimodal lifestyle intervention clinical trial over a 6-month period. That actually concluded just today, the last two visits of that trial.
And I want to talk about that because, of course, this study's been ongoing for a year. What were you guys kind of finding with this study?
Absolutely. So with these numbers, we're really looking to assess attitudes around receiving this kind of information and then lay the groundwork for a larger study when we can track longer and look at bigger effect sizes. But the attitudes data has been really compelling and important. So we found that most people, about 85 to 90% of people, receive this information just fine, even though it's high-powered information about dementia risk in the future.
And when it comes to the study, talking about risk for Alzheimer's dementia, I guess what were some of the environments, maybe some of the risk that that you guys were kind of constantly finding upon while doing this trial.
Right. So the main risk factors that we know about come down largely to genetics and lifestyle, and ultimately those are about 50-50, genetics and environment. So we're measuring both of those things through different ways, looking at family history, known genetic markers, and also known lifestyle factors and environmental factors that we know are important for risk for Alzheimer's, and then using all of that information to identify people at particularly high risk.
And just for someone who might be listening for the first time, what are just kind of some of those known lifestyle factors or possible genetic factors that play into these risk analysis?
Right. So on lifestyle factors, it's a lot of the things that you probably already know about that your doctor's already telling you. Eating right, in particular, we're looking at the Mediterranean diet as a particularly beneficial type of diet. Exercise, particularly aerobic exercise for dementia risk, and staying engaged cognitively. So that can be something like crossword puzzles or playing bridge with your friends, things like that. And then on the genetic side, there's some known factors. For example, the biggest known factor is a gene called ApoE, where certain forms give risk for disease. And then also looking at the rest of the genome and something that we call polygenic risk. So we're looking at all of those factors.
And so I have to ask, you mentioned, in this trial, surprisingly well, people kind of taking in this information and kind of learning, hey, you could be at a higher risk for, one of these diseases. What are you guys hoping to see in the future, when it comes to kind of taking this into a larger scale trial?
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal is really to accelerate this in the state of Alabama and get early detection to people's hands, because that's going to ultimately be a really powerful tool for moving the needle on this disease. Early detection, just like in other diseases, is important for getting people started on early treatment, and then that having a bigger effect on delaying or preventing disease. So that's our real goal, and that's what we're working towards.
But when people hear these diseases and they get pretty scared, do you believe it's a great way to kind of maybe normalize, say, hey, you might be at a higher risk, but we can, maybe work towards, lessening the effects, or, maybe, not saying it's not preventable, but making this, hey, we're going to make this transition a lot better for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that it is difficult information, right, to learn about this risk information. But what's been promising over the past few years is that there's been new drugs that have been released that can have an effect on the disease course, and also some established data on these multimodal lifestyle interventions. So with those things together, I think that people have a lot of optimism. People are seeing those things and knowing that there may be something that you can do about this. It's not to the point of a cure yet, but we're certainly doing everything that we can. And I think that having that information in hand, that there is maybe something to be done about it, is helping people to receive this information a little better.
With this study, we mentioned about 150 people that were involved for this go around. I have to ask, what was it kind of like working with them, working with different groups and families and individuals, to kind of say, hey, okay, let's take a look at everything that's going on under the hood.
Yeah, so folks have been great to work with. The participants, are really enthusiastic about contributing to research, and of course, there's potential benefit for themselves, but they're excited about the benefit for the North Alabama area and the rest of society as well. So it's been great partnering with the community on this effort.
All right, and then this is my final question. When it comes to, you mentioned larger study, do you guys have a possible timeline of when you maybe might expand this statewide?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're starting that process now. We're putting the infrastructure down over the next year and a half. And so we're looking towards hopefully getting started in earnest over the next year and really rolling it out. But we want to do it right, make sure that we have the groundwork to really able to do this at scale and do it properly.
When you saw the call for this study, what was your first thought?
Well, the fact that I had two older brothers that passed of Alzheimer's or dementia, that I thought, if this is something that is genetic, it would be great to know about that. And so then my brother found out about the study, and the rest is kind of history.
And I have to ask, what was it like going through this study? Because for some, it can probably be pretty daunting to learn, hey, I could be at a higher risk for dementia or Alzheimer's.
Well, I think initially it was a little daunting, but then the more that I learned about the study, as I got involved with it, and we were doing the exercises, the brain exercises, and reading about the different things that an individual could do to help, deter or delay the onset. It got more and more interesting.
And throughout the study, what exactly did you learn about yourself? Because I just spoke with the head doctor. He mentioned that some individuals were classified as higher risk. Were you someone who was placed in that category?
I was. I think my risk is 3 times higher than the regular individual.
Wow. So I guess what was it like to kind of learn that information, but at the same time, say, get tips and do those brain exercises and kind of go through and say, hey, there's a way I can maybe work to kind of transition and maybe stave off this disease a little bit.
Well, I think again initially it's a little bit of a surprise to you, and then you think about, well, if it's kind of like if you got blue eyes, you got blue eyes, and there's nothing you can really do about it. But if in this case, the fact that they said, if you do do some of these brain exercises, you watch your diet, you focus on your sleep patterns and things like that, that you can do things possibly to delay it or prevent it. And I thought that was very appealing to me.
And I have to ask, because of course this is getting ready to spread out to a statewide study now. What's kind of your message to to those who might be interested in taking part in this study? Let me rephrase that. I'm trying to think what I'm going to say. I guess what would be your message to those who would be interested in taking part in the statewide study that is expected to take place?
I would highly encourage it because of the fact that, again, if you know that you have that marker, and you know that there are things that you can do, kind of like exercises that you can do to help you to deal with it, to help to defer it, delay it, or whatever, then I think that it's a great opportunity to help yourself intervene in that situation.
All right, and this is my final question. Taking part in the study, kind of learning more about yourself. You kind of you're in a high risk group, and you have these exercises. I guess for you personally, what's the future look like for you?
Oh well, I think that it's an incentive for me, again, because of my family history, and because of what I've learned in the study, is to focus on the things that I have control of. Obviously, I don't have control over the markers, but I do have control over the exercise, the diet, the sleep patterns, and those kind of things. And so long as what I have control, I can control the things that I have control of, and others I can't do anything about, so I should focus on what I can control.